welcome back. In this segment of our program, we have Richa Patel here from Home Support. Good morning.
Good morning, Susan.
How are things going in Home Support today?
Things are going great.
What would we like to talk about today?
So today we're going to talk about when a resident may need home support services, and then why to choose home support services.
Okay.
So some of the benefits of choosing home support services.
Excellent.
So you know, if a resident needs help with activities of daily living, which is also known as ADLs, our aides can help with that. So that consists of tasks such as bathing, taking a shower, toileting, dressing, grooming. Those are tasks that our caregivers can help with. If a resident is feeling weak or just, walking off balance, so if they're a falling risk.
So just in feeling like, yes, I can get around on my own, but I don't feel comfortable doing so. I'd really like to have someone to hold on to.
Right, exactly. So that's something that our aides can come in and just, provide that safety supervision, as well as help with mobility and any transfers that a resident may need.
Transfer meaning getting from my chair to a wheelchair or my chair to a bed.
Correct, yes. Our caregivers can come in and help with that as well. Medication reminders. So, if a resident sometimes forgets to take their medications, our aides can come in and they can remind a resident to take their medication, and they can observe them take the medication.
But they cannot help the resident, and I'm imagining here, 10 little bottles and putting them in the reminder boxes. They cannot do that,
No,
correct?
Our CNAs cannot do that. However, we do have registered nurses who can provide medication management. So our registered nurses can do that. However, our CNAs, they cannot touch the medications. All that they can do is, they can provide the resident with water or beverage of choice, and then they can present them with the cassette. They can even help them open it.
So if I have a whole lot of medications that I need to take, and I really have trouble remembering what I'm supposed to take and when I'm supposed to take it, and I'm just confused by the whole thing, I can contact you, and I can schedule for a nurse to come and help me maybe put it in one of those boxes, maybe 3 or 4 weeks worth, and then that's all organized. And then I can schedule for a certified nursing assistant to come at the time that I'm supposed to take it and help me make sure that I take it at the proper time, on the proper day.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And then our caregivers can do the medication reminders.
Yes.
Another thing that our aides can do is they can help a resident with light housekeeping. So if a resident needs things such as, ironing clothing, or making the bed, or changing the bed linens, or doing some vacuuming, or if they need help preparing a meal, and then, our aides can also help clean up the kitchen after a meal. Our aides can do that as well. Our CNAs can also help with packing and unpacking. So if a resident is going on vacation, or they're coming back from traveling, or even from Garden Ridge, our aides can come in, help them unpack, and help them get settled back into their apartments. Another thing that our aides can do is they can help a resident organize closets, drawers, and even cabinets.
There's a thought occurred to me the other day that often when I talk to other residents and just friends also, people say, oh, I've got this big pile of papers here. What am I going to do with this? If my son would just come and spend some hours with me, or my daughter would come for a day, and that's never going to happen. Sons and daughters are busy people. An aide could come and sit with you and go through a pile of papers and help you sort them.
Correct.
Because it would be easy for an important paper to get lost in the middle of say a Green Spring menu, and something could be thrown away by mistake.
Right.
They can help you sort these and help you put them in the right piles, make sure that things are shredded that should be shredded, and do some of that sorting. And then when you do see your children, you can use that quality time to visit with them.
Of course.
And another possibility I thought of is lots of times people have lots of family photos that they've always wanted to sort, and again, they think their children are going to have time to do that. And an aide could sit and And help them
help
get
them
those
organize it.
organized.
Correct.
And maybe put in albums.
Yes, certainly. Our aides can do that.
Yeah.
And another thing that many people don't know about that our aides can do is they can also do pet and plant care. So many times we have residents, who are over at Garden Ridge who have a pet or a plant that needs watered back at home. Our aides can come in and they can help, make sure that the pets are fed. They can, change the litter, do things like that, and they can also come in and water plants.
And that's a huge relief.
That really is.
We have a neighbor who's taking advantage of that right now.
Oh, good.
So she doesn't have to worry about her cats.
Exactly.
While
So
she's
you don't,
in Garden Ridge.
Right, so you don't need to worry about that. And if a resident needs escort assistance, our aides can also do that, whether it's off campus or on campus. So if a resident needs to go to an appointment at the medical center, they need to go to the beauty salon, they need to go to the chapel, or they just need an aide to escort them to and from the dining room, our aides can do that. Our aides can also do off-campus escorts. So if a resident has a doctor's appointment off campus, our caregivers can go. If they need someone to, lend them a hand while doing some shopping, our caregivers can go. However, they can only accompany the resident if the resident is using Green Spring transportation or any other public transportation.
Okay. In other words, not in a private car.
Correct, right.
Okay.
Not in the resident's car or the aide's car.
Okay.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Yes. And then
Let me ask you a question. If a resident needs help eating, actually physically eating their food, and maybe needs a little help getting the food from the plate to their mouth, can the aide accompany the resident into the dining room and sit with him or her and help with eating?
They can. However, most of the times when we accompany residents to the dining room, the aides will just, stay outside of the dining room, and if the resident needs help, they can assist the resident in the dining room.
So they can help them if they would like.
Correct.
Okay.
And another thing that our aides can do is, just provide general companionship as well as socialization activities, so they can help them with, walking, taking a walk around the community, playing cards, playing games and various activities. And then, of course, our aides can help residents whenever they come back home from a hospital or a stay at Garden Ridge with just any of the services that I've
Sometimes
mentioned.
coming back home from hospital or Garden Ridge, when you're there, you think, oh, sure, I'm going to be fine once I get back home. I'm really
Right.
strong. And you get back home and you're not quite as strong as you thought you were. And having someone to help you get around for a while is
Right, of
very
course.
helpful.
And that's the good thing. A resident can just call us, and we can typically get started with services relatively soon. So those are just, some of the services that our aides can provide. And I wanted to talk a little bit about, why a resident should choose home support services. So what are some of the benefits of choosing home support services?
Okay.
So all of our caregivers, all of our CNAs, they are vetted with extensive background checks. And this is to ensure that, they don't have any criminal offenses, and they are eligible to work in a facility with seniors. And this, personally, I think is very important to think about when, you're hiring a caregiver to come into your home.
Yes.
This is something that's very important to
Yes.
think about.
Because you could take a nap and who knows what that person is doing
Exactly.
while you're napping.
Exactly.
Yes, so you want to know who's there.
Exactly, of course. All of our aides are also licensed, bonded, and liability insured.
What does licensed mean?
So they are all certified nurse aides. So they're all certified nurse aides. And in order to become a CNA, they first have to go through a certified nurse aide training program where they have to complete a certain number of hours. And then they have to obtain their state boards. And one of the things that we do in home support is we ensure that all of our CNAs have an active CNA license.
So they have to keep up that license.
Correct.
So these are not just nice people that were hired off the street who happen to say,
Oh,
I
right.
like working with senior citizens.
No,
These are highly trained people.
They are trained and licensed.
And the license has to be kept up to date. And you said they're also bonded.
Correct.
And they have liability.
Liability insurance. So if something happens, we are responsible.
Okay.
And whenever their CNA licenses are expiring, we do make sure that they do renew it. Otherwise, they aren't able to, continue to work with home support services.
Okay.
So all of our caregivers have active active CNA licenses. Also, you know, using home support, you have that on-site supervision and management.
So if ever you suspect you have any questions or any concerns, don't be afraid to call home support.
Oh, certainly,
and ask.
certainly.
And that's a really important point, because sometimes I have heard residents voice concerns or talk about another resident who had a concern, and I say, well, have you reported it? And they say, oh no, I'm afraid something would happen to me, or I'm afraid somebody would retaliate. And I encourage them, no, call.
Of course,
you know,
right.
Call, you know, if you have a concern, you know, have it be investigated.
Right, of course. So, you know, we can make sure that things are taken care of, and we can even make any immediate changes if needed.
Yes.
Also, being in the community, we have a greater ability to provide that continuity of care.
Yes.
And then we also...
And if one of our aides calls in sick, you can provide...
We will cover it, correct.
You will cover it. If it's an aide from the outside who just doesn't show up, then you don't have that help or assistance.
Exactly. And also, we do have staff that is on call after office hours in the evenings and the weekends. So we always have a scheduler who is on call, as well as a nurse who is on call for any clinical questions. So if a resident has an emergency, they have a call out, they you know, need to you know, eliminate any services, they can call us after office hours, and they will be able to speak to a live person.
Good.
So that's also another benefit. Also, we coordinate with all of Green Spring care providers as needed. So we can coordinate with, you know, a resident's doctors at the medical center, we coordinate with Garden Ridge, we coordinate with housekeeping. You know, you get that.
So if an aide comes into my apartment and finds that I have fallen, and maybe I got myself up, but it may appear that I have hurt myself in some way. That aide will then be able to know who to contact.
Right,
and work
which is
with our
security,
medical
of
people,
course, right.
Of course,
right.
in that case. But then get the ball rolling for some medical help versus an aide from the outside wouldn't have the ability to do that.
Right, exactly. And then whenever we admit a resident onto our services, before we admit them, we actually have our registered nurses come out to do an assessment, and that assessment is at no cost to the resident. And that's really to learn the resident's medical needs, and then develop a schedule that best fits their needs. And all of our caregivers follow this customized care plan. So the nurses then go back and they develop this customized care plan, which is customized to each resident, and all of our CNAs follow these follow that plan of care. Correct.
Excellent.
Correct. All of our nurses are registered nurses, and like I mentioned, all of our aides are certified nurse aides. Now, once we hire a CNA, they do go through an extensive onboarding process with us, as well as annual training and in-services. So we do annual skills checks on them. So, you know, we make sure that they know how to use, you know, they know how to use equipment properly. We make sure that they know how to transfer properly. We make sure that they know how to give medication reminders properly.
They are well trained.
Correct.
Richa, we have just a few seconds left.
Oh, okay. And then one last thing here.
One last
so
thing.
With home support services, there is no long-term contract, meaning a resident may cancel at any time, just following our cancellation policy, nor is there any upfront deposit, nor is there a separate bill. So the resident...
It makes it very simple.
Correct. So the resident just gets billed monthly on their monthly Green Spring account.
For exactly the amount of time that you have
Exactly.
Exactly. Richa, thank you you've given us a lot of information, and we encourage our listeners, our viewers, that if you think home support might be something that can help you make your life easier, contact Richa and her office.
Yes, we are
And they will be glad to talk with you and see what they can do to help you make your life more easy.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you, Susan.